there is a connection, I've just lost it, so I'll just
come
stop
back to
in this, you know.
Just want to respond to what you said. During the occupation, that immediate period, I do know that the Vestas workers, that there were pickets in Copenhagen when Vestas is a Danish
I wasn't aware
corporation.
Of that, but I knew they were a Danish company.
And my understanding is that I think at least one of the Vestas workers, Ian Terry, is going to North America to speak, because there have been contacts with the people at the Colorado Vestas plant, which will be taking over the blade making business. I think it was originally down there because all the boat making skills, apparently, it's the same skills that you need.
Yeah, there's always been, it's an aerospace centre, wasn't it? I mean, the flying boats, I'm sorry, it comes out being a boy and I read all these magazines. I never remember, right? That Simon's Row was the company, right? So those skills and transferable stuff.
And I suppose the only other point I was going to make in response to that is that, I grew up in the West Midlands, and I think, still got the highest unemployment in the country, isn't it? It's running at over 10% there.
It is, but it's still got a massive still got a massive military dependence, but, people forget that. It's amazing, still the number of people.
And you can also see in areas where it's got smaller, actually, is that you've seen kind of unionised, good quality jobs disappear, and they've been replaced with poor, the jobs with much worse kind of paying conditions, much more transient. I mean, the town I grew up in used to be an engineering town, and it now is a warehouse town, and it's not the same quality of employment,
Okay, so Andrew and then Lars.
Well, I think Lars's contribution might be more interesting since he's a car worker. But I think it's important to think about, as I did during the workshop I was in with some people here this morning, about these different levels of control. Because, as you said, there's the debate about whether Vestas should be a cooperative or nationalised. And clearly, workers need to have an important measure of control in their enterprise. That's what this is all about. That's what we should be into as eco-socialists. But for that to happen, I think the plant should be, it's an old, rather cliched demand, and I think it's worth trotting it out. No pun intended. No pun intended, honestly, except subconsciously, because Freud says that jokes come out that way. That nationalisation under workers' control, in other words, that workers have control of the enterprise, but that the role of the state is crucial to provide resources and to guarantee, if you like, the market base. And in terms of, yes, I think that towns, if, say, you have people elected to town councils, they could use the local taxes, the rates, to help subsidise or set up local turbines and solar energy. But, of course, the government has really cut down a lot on the amount of money that local government can raise through the rates. So that would need to be linked to a whole struggle against rate capping. It would need to be linked to a struggle for a local income tax, for example. So the relationship between the national and the local is very important. Interestingly, Ian Bruce is here. He's a journalist who's worked a lot in Venezuela. He's written a book which includes an interesting description of the aluminium factory Alcasa in Venezuela, which was under workers' control for a time. And what happened when that workers' control was decoupled from developments in other sectors, so it needs to be linked into other developments, because just like you can't have socialism in one country, you can't have workers' control in one factory. And on Denmark, of course, we probably all need to make more of the fact that in Denmark there is this party called the Red-Green Alliance, which we should be working with in terms of Vestas solidarity. I've been away a lot, so I'm not entirely sure of some of the links. I think there was a demonstration in Malmö, wasn't there, Lars? I was told this by a Swedish comrade.
No, I'm not sure about it. Copenhagen? No, that wasn't Malmö.
Yeah.
30 people outside the headquarters of Vestas in Denmark.
Yeah, I'll stop there.
Okay, Lars Henriksson, Sweden, Volvo. I'm going to speak also about now. We have spoken before earlier here. I have a few questions. Vestas is a wonderful example, you just said, because you kind of circumvent all the problematic things in the conversion. If the things are there, just keep on doing what you do. It's a very simple thing, really, and the government can do it because they say they do it and so on. The big problem is all those plants, all those corporations that do things that shouldn't be done, like where I work in the auto business. I spend my days making SUVs that don't drive safely, four-wheel drives in Knightsbridge and so on. And that's really not sustainable. And the thing I'm driving around is the conversion of industry to useful, socially useful products, not profitable products, which I think is possible, especially in the car industry, because it's a very flexible industry in a lot of ways. In the spring, I was here attending a campaign against climate change trade union meeting, and I was speaking to a lot of people afterwards, and they said that you were going to set up some kind of committee to make a plan for conversion of the green job and so on. And what's coming out of this now? Has something happened, and has the Vestas fight taken all the power? It sounded very interesting. Ron said that you even got people who weren't really on your side, like people from the National Union of Mine Workers and so on, who were discussing what has happened to this. Are you making any plans, or and how concrete will those plans be? Are you involved in that?
We had the last campaign against climate change trade union conference that we had. I think we couldn't possibly say that we were coming up with concrete plans, but within the last conference we did have 3 important debating forums. One which was about nuclear, one which was about coal, whether there's any possibility of clean coal, and the one that I chaired that day, which was about aviation. And we had a representative from the union, we had MP John McDonnell, and it was, we discussed it in a non-combative sort of form where we could get all the facts out and look at what do we want to see in the future, whether or not these promises of new jobs with third runways were real or not, what quality would these jobs be, was that in any way something that workers in that area would be worried about, and were there other things that could happen in order to increase employment in that area that would not cause further climate change emissions. So that really is, our role in that is more opening up that debate and sending that debate back into the unions and back into those individual industries. I'm not sure if you were asking anything more particular than that.
I was under the impression that you were setting up some kind of committee or working group to work out this kind of...
Yeah, well, what it is we've got a very small core of people, and I know Chris Boff, who's Assistant General Secretary of PCS, is involved in that, and I think Phil Thornhill's there in that. Tony Cairns from CWU unions in on that, Jonathan Neal, campaign against climate change, and I think there's a couple of others, and I'm not sure if Caroline Lucas got pulled into that or not, but there was going to be a couple of politicians in on that. And what they're doing is they're putting together a plan, getting ready to put these demands to Parliament, but in a big public way, and there will be like this demand for 1 million green jobs very quickly. I mean, that's, I don't know if anyone else is up to date on that, because I know I couldn't attend that last CCTU.
Isn't it due out in December, that kind of...
Yeah, I knew it was coming soon.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be out by
so they were having experts and researchers to do the costings and the practical backup to those demands, so that when it launches out, it really will be...
They haven't publicised it.
No, it hasn't come out yet. But yeah, obviously keep in touch about that and help to use that.
I've now got Anne Pettifer's name written down here, and I must have been at a conference area.